Welcome to a new episode of the Superbold podcast, where I dissect people's lives and see where they were bold and where they hesitated and the difference it made in their lives. And I like to bring people who've accomplished amazing things and had a lot of twists and turns along the way. And I have a very special guest, a longtime friend of mine, Heather Colicchio, who created the American Association of Dental Office Managers. And it's become an amazing organization, and it started very small and very simply. And we're going to find out how she got into that and how it's evolved and where the ups and downs were along the way, and also talk about things that have impacted her life personally over the years, and how she's made some bold moves and hesitated and missed out on some stuff. So Heather, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on.
Thank you for having me, Fred. Great to see you. And just so you know, you were my win today. We had a team call and we go around, everyone says kind of their wins for the week. And I said, my win is I'm going to be a host on Fred Joyal's podcast. And Fred and I have known together and worked together for 20 years. And it's just always so nice when you have a colleague for that long that you're still happy to see and happy to create with. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really been quite a journey. You know, we obviously have both worked in the dental industry, and so just to give people an understanding of ADOM, the association you founded.
Mm-hmm.
You founded, is it over 20 years at this point?
It's 20 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so give us a rundown. I know that the annual meeting has over 1,000 attendees, I believe, at this point. But the actual membership is significantly higher.
Yep.
Over,
yep.
Oh, is
We're
it
at
over
about
20,000? Yeah.
No, that's next year. This year is 10,000.
10,000.
And we have 1,200 attendees coming to our annual event, and that's only because we sold out. We've got, wait list several hundred deep. So that's really rewarding. Yeah. So what do you want to know? I'm all yours, Fred.
Yeah, it sells out every year, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does.
I mean, you're always trying to find a bigger hotel. And it's 800 Dentists was an early and long time supporter of the organization.
Yep.
Just because it was a great meeting and you took really good care of the exhibitors. You had an insight that you needed to do that, and nobody does it better than you do, than ADOM does, and that I think that's why so many exhibitors are clamoring to get in, and it's the fact that it's all of these really strong office managers, but I want to get into right now because I want people to know how impactful this has become. It has evolved to where the office managers are now getting special training and certification and fellowships, developing their business skills precisely for what's needed to run a successful dental practice. So talk about the evolution of that, because I know there's 3 levels of it now.
Yeah, there's 3 levels now. So when I started ADOM, the dental office, and I didn't come from a dental background, which was really good. So it allowed me to be very objective. The dental office manager was probably was the most important to me role in the dental practice, and the most underrecognized, the most underappreciated. And ADOM, in our 20 years, we've done a lot to turn that around, and really it's become a 180 to now. And 1-800-Dentist, you were one of our very first supporters, and I'm eternally grateful for that, because you were one of the first few who recognized the value of the office manager position. So through our journey, we have been able to take that position in the dental practice and elevate it from a job to a career. So now there's an actual career path. And we have a designation program where you can become a fellow of the association. From fellow is mastership and then diplomat status. And our diplomats are out in the industry. They're authors, they're speakers, they're still dental administrators, but they're we've helped move them up to expert level, sort of subject matter expert level, to where they're now contributing back to the industry. So it's been really exciting.
And I talked to the people who've gotten the fellowship, and gotten the master's level, and it's quite rigorous. It is not like, oh yeah, do some of this stuff, watch these videos online sort of thing. It's these it's primarily women, but these practice administrators, they're learning MBA level knowledge, but the fact that it's dialed into what a practice needs makes it even more powerful. These people are very valuable to the practice, and more valuable every year.
Absolutely. I think anyone who has achieved that level status, they're extremely valuable to their practice. So when I started ADOM, there was no business training for a dental practice. And at the end of the day, any healthcare practice is a business, right? I mean, it's a dental in particular is a for-profit business. So the fact that nobody was learning business skills was mind-blowing. And that's kind of where we came in, ADOM, and said, we will teach you the correct way to run a business. Forget the dental. We don't really, that's not our deal. We're going to teach you how to run a business. So our members, our 10,000 members, are probably the best 10,000 managers in the country. Of those, the most engaged, 1,200, come to the conference. Of those, the best of the best of the best, couple hundred, earn their distinction. And they do it because they're so invested in the success of their practices, which is just amazing. I mean, if you have a manager like that, you're just blessed. If you have someone who treats your business like it's their own business and wants to see it succeed as if it's their own business and takes pride in helping it be profitable and successful, you're a lucky dentist, a lucky business owner. So you're right, Fred. Those who come to ADOM and earn their designations, any one of the three, and it's tiered, it's no joke. It's rigorous and it's business oriented. And what I love about that program in particular is that it's not a one and done. So you don't get inducted as a fellow and prove you have all this knowledge and then go on about your merry life. We're checking on you all the time. Every year, you have to prove to us that you have your continuing education credits, that you're going to events, that you are involved in your community. And it's, we're not shy about auditing and not shy about removing people. So anyone in that program is really the best of the best in dental practice management.
So where did you get the audacity to start this organization? I mean, it's a pretty bold move in my mind, and that's kind of why I got excited about it when I first heard about it and was first involved in it. So what brought this on, Heather?
The way this happened, I was already an entrepreneur. I was in the gourmet coffee business and very happy there. I'd been in it about 10 years and I got a call. So this is 20 years ago. I got a call from a good friend from college. She was a dentist. She was leaving a group practice to go solo, which happens quite a bit because I think so many dentists do have that entrepreneurial bug in them. And she gave notice. She signed a lease for herself. And then she called me just absolutely freaking out because she said, "Oh my God, what did I do?" She said, "In dental school, they teach us how to fix teeth, how to fill cavities." She said, "I don't know billing or coding or software or HR, any of that." So I said, all right, calm down. There's got to be an association or something that can help you. If not help you find the person who knows how to do all that. I'm a member of the Specialty Coffee Association of America. That's my go-to resource. There's an association for everything in the world, which there literally is. If you're ever bored and really want to see what there are associations for, it's pretty unbelievable. This seemed like a pretty basic one, though. There's associations for the dentists, the hygienist, the assistant, the dentist by state, the dentist by specialty, literally everyone in the practice except the person who was the glue keeping all those other people together and who was making sure that the business, the practice was successful so that they all had a job to come to. So really, in helping her find her association, I realized that there was not one. So I just sort of very casually started looking into it and saw there was a tremendous need in dentistry for it. And so started it. And it didn't feel very Superbold at the time. Looking back, perhaps it was, but it just kind of evolved. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you started small, but what was the first step in just attracting these office managers? I'm trying to remember the first meeting. I feel like there was
the first meeting. So the first meeting, all right. So I had this idea, like all these managers are looking for each other because in a dental practice, you're all alone as the manager. You don't have another manager to turn to say, and I'm talking about solo practices, you don't have another manager to turn to and say, hey, am I doing this right? Am I billing this right? Am I coding this right? Am I, this person needs maternity leave. Am I giving them the right leave? It's very, very daunting. And what I saw was oftentimes it was the assistant who was working chairside who would then start to answer the phone and then take on some sort of front office responsibilities, then become the office manager, which is really dangerous. You wouldn't let an office manager go work on someone's teeth if they didn't have, assisting skills. So, equally as dangerous. So I said, all these managers are looking for one another for community. And in addition to that, I realized a lot of the vendors like 1-800-Dentist were actually looking for the managers because they said oftentimes that's who we want to talk to. It's not the dentist. We want the person, on the business side of things. So one of the first things I did just to kind of test the waters was I bought a fax list. Back in the day, I bought an actual fax list. I made
She's talking about a machine many of you haven't heard of, which is a fax machine.
FAX. Google it. And I did like a one pager and I sent it out, and true story, my husband and we went out to dinner, and I didn't send the fax. I went through a fax company. We came home and there's thermal paper all over the floor. Like, remember the thermal?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I was like, oh my God, look at all this thermal paper. They all want to be members. Yay. And I'm going and I'm picking them up, and they all said, don't fax.
Do not send. Take me off your list. Yeah.
Take me off your list. You can't solicit. We're going to sue you. And I did get 2 lawsuits from it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but the silver lining was every 1 out of 10 that wasn't saying they're going to sue me said, oh my God, where have you been? Oh my God, sign me up. Oh my God, please, I need help. And it was truly those 1 out of 10 from that original fax that became the first core group of members, ADOM members. And they were so happy to know there were other people in their position doing what they did who were looking for not just education. The education was crucial, but community as well. So next step was I said, okay, I need a website. So this, again, 20 years ago, there were no companies. There was no Fiverr. There was no, you just, hired the kid next door who can do it in their sleep. So I heard from a friend of a friend, there was a guy who built websites in his basement. So I went to his house and I went to the basement. Don't do that at home, kids. Not a good idea. and sure enough, I went to the guy's basement and I'm like, okay, so he was legit. And I'm like, so I want to make a website. There's managers, dental managers who are looking for each other. And he said, okay, what do you want to call it? And I said, I don't know. I probably like New Jersey Dental Office Managers Association. And swear to God, Fred, this guy was bold because he said, well, why are you thinking so small? And he's a website guy. So what do you mean? He goes, oh, it's kind of small. I said, okay, tri-state, office managers association, in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And he goes, oh, why don't you just do American Association? I said, okay, why not? So we said American Association of Office Managers. He built this really beautiful website, and that's how that started. And then, I got the people from the fax. I told them to go to the site, join, fill out an application. Word started to spread. Word started to get out there. When I was in his basement, though, he said, you should put something up about like a conference just so it feels like real and not spammy. I'm like, okay. So honestly, if I could ever track this guy down, he should be on your podcast. He was bold enough to put an image of the New York City skyline, and it said First Dental Managers Conference, New York City, and he made up a date way in the future. And I was like, all right, cool, looks good. And
yes, I remember this now. It was like in a little hotel room, like a little tiny conference room.
Yeah. So I started calling the people on the fax. I got them to join. We're, doing our little thing. And then I started a few months later getting phone calls about the conference. I'm like, what conference are they talking? I'm like, oh my God, that's my conference. Like, because I never went to the website. I never go to the website for anything. I'm like, oh my God, people are actually like, I have to put a conference together. So, ran to New York City where we said it would be.
Right.
And,
you had to dovetail some of the actual information with what was happening.
Yeah. But, I guess it's kind of like a manifestation exercise almost now that I am verbalizing it, almost like a vision board type thing, So I found the Hotel Pennsylvania Hotel right across from Grand Central Station, booked a room, and I'm like, if you build it, they will come. First, annual dental managers conference. Nobody was signing up. All the people who were calling about the conference, they were like, yeah, no, my doctor won't send me. Yeah. I'm like, well, I have to fill this room because I committed to paying for all this food and these speakers. So I just started, dialing around saying, hey, hey, dental manager, I'm having an event. Do you want to just come for free and be my guest? And I think I got 80 people to come out, and I had 6 exhibitors. Only one paid. The rest I just begged to show up, and took a big hit on that one. But I will never forget, we had a morning speaker who was very good, an afternoon speaker who was very good. The magic happened though during lunch. So during lunch, we were on the top floor of this hotel, and I had 80 office managers in this beautiful ballroom overlooking the New York City skyline, just like the website said it would. And they started talking to one another, and they started sharing ideas, and they were like, oh my God, how do you do this at your practice? How do you do that? You go through the same thing too. And I always say, if I could have just gone home and they'd still be there 3 days later talking. And that's really when I saw the magic of, connecting people, in real life, and the magic that happens when community is available. So. Yeah.
Well, and like any good business, sometimes you don't know the problem you're solving until you launch it. Mm-hmm. And what you really learned was they're all alone out there. They've been, like you said, they've had to figure all of this out themselves. There was nobody to turn to. There was nobody to check their work. There was nobody to ask.
Nobody. You didn't want to ask the doctor because you don't want him or her to think you don't know what you're doing. So many were just winging it that it's a little frightening to think back, so yeah.
Well, there's plenty of practices still run that way. They promote the receptionist to why don't you run the office and do the social media too while you're at it. But a lot of times if you ask the doctor, he wouldn't necessarily have an answer. HR is a perfect example of the average practice is out of compliance in a dozen ways just because they're small business people and there's way more rules than anybody can keep track of.
And that's really where we sort of come into play is we help our members learn all those things, so they are compliant and learn the HR and learn the social media. And all of the things that managers have to do, which is so many. But you're right. I mean, when you're starting a business, it's kind of sometimes you go in one way or thinking you're going to fix one problem, and it's really something else completely. So,
but the meeting really got steady traction. Was there a point where you, I think you knew there's something here at the first meeting. Like
Yeah,
these
yeah,
people
yeah.
need to get together.
Yes. So
Um,
yes, absolutely. And, I got the bill, I passed out, I paid the bill, but I said, there's something here. So I booked our second meeting in Clearwater, Florida, which is where you came. And
yeah.
that's also where I met Lori Streeter. She came representing Patterson Dental. And Lori is now ADOM's vice president. Former office manager was with Patterson at the time when she came to our second. And it was shortly after being in that magic of ADOM that she said, I'd like to come work for ADOM. And we kind of just made up a job for her and said, let's see how it goes. And she's the one who said, you'll never lose money at another meeting again. And so a lot of what you see at the meeting is a lot of Lori's vision. Yeah. So, thanks for
Well,
Lori.
it
Yeah.
takes a team.
It
It
takes a
takes
team.
people who are better at it than you.
Yes. I
And
have.
you are surrounded by those people. I know so many of them, and I've watched them come from other parts of dentistry because it's so exciting to, be part of something as impactful as this, and really just it's a giant family. I mean, it really is amazing to walk into that room with them all set up at all of the tables, and just every year to see it bigger and bigger, of course.
It is. It's hard. It's really hard to explain, on a podcast or on the web. You really, because it's something you feel. I hate to sound, corny, but it really is. It's an energy. It's something that really doesn't translate in a conversation. So, yeah, I would encourage anyone listening to join us at our annual event. And then beyond that, so what happened was it's so great 'cause it's high energy, and it's really almost like you know, like a family, like a fraternity or sorority where we're all in this together, and we're all here to support one another and empower and uplift one another. So my husband describes it as, part ADA, part Amway, but it's kind of right. It's kind of right. So what happened was, because we started virtually. We started as an online entity and then went live. The members were saying, okay, so this is a great 3 days. How do we keep this energy going throughout the year? And that was how the ADOM chapter program was born. So we have, 70 plus local chapters across the country, and they carry that same energy and that same passion that you see at the ADOM meeting. They bring it home, literally. And they have like mini ADOMs in their area, and they meet 4 times a year. And I've been to, so many chapter meetings. They are phenomenal. They're wonderful.
Yeah, I was at
Yeah.
one recently, and normally I do like a couple hour marketing presentation, and I thought these people are at a different level, so I'm just going to answer questions. They fired questions at me for 2 hours straight, and it was great because I was following what they needed to know, and it was so interesting because I said I don't have to give you the basic understanding that I
Right.
would normally try to give somebody. You're looking for the next level of information. How do you close this gap? How do you expand this? How do you attract a higher caliber of patient? All of these things. It was so much fun, and as always, just incredibly impressive. The other
Yeah.
thing that's really great at the meeting is when you say how many people are here for the first time, and a staggering number of people raise their hands. I mean, it's
Hmm.
hundreds
Hmm.
who have just discovered the meeting.
Hmm.
I also talk to people who say, "Yeah, I'm thinking of going," and I'm talking to them like this year in April, and I said, "You're too late. you should
Yeah, we're
you
we're
should
gonna
book the
work on
next
that.
year."
Yeah, because we really do need to serve more people. I mean, more people want to be served with our what we do. So we are working on how to expand, even for, the vendors. We've had to say no to so many vendors who want access. So we are working on that for sure. But yeah, we do every year get a bunch of newbies, which I love. I love getting the new energy in, and they learn so much from our experienced managers who just without, any asking, just take them under their wing and show them. And they really are another next level. Like you said, I mean, they're our members. I love them because they're so smart. They're not shy, And, I'm going to guess they drilled you pretty good for 2 hours. So,
Yeah,
it's a good gig.
and I've gotten to meet them at various other events as well. And I also tell them, this should be on your resume, and if you're looking for a job or,
Mhm.
because sometimes they'll get better than the practice they're in. That they're more interested in growth than the dentist is
Yes,
sometimes. And so
often, yes.
they need to find a more, not aggressive dentist, but more ambitious dentist, I
Ambitious.
think is the word I'm
More
looking
ambitious,
for.
more open-minded.
Yeah.
Sometimes dentists can get stuck in their ways. But there was a survey done, not by ADOM, by third party, and I can share the stats if you like. I don't have them handy, but the survey found that dental managers who hold ADOM designations make more money, are more likely to get promoted, and just more respected. So it's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, when any dentist is talking to me and saying like I just lost my office manager, and I said, well, then you need a FADOM, and he says, I have no idea what that is, and I said, that's your problem.
Yeah.
You don't know about ADOM. You need a fellow from ADOM if you can get them to
Right.
come work for you, because their doctor's not likely to give them up.
Right.
But so
Yeah.
was there ever a point in it where you thought, this is getting ahead of me here. This could be, um, uh, tip over. We could be at risk here. Were there moments like that along the way?
No, I never thought it could be too big. I did have moments early on where I'm like, where it was slow going at first, where I'm kind of like, what if this is a dog? Like, what, did I make a wrong decision here? Because I sold the coffee business to devote myself full time to ADOM, and it was such I think, a paradigm shift that for people, a mindset change that people in dentistry were not. It was new. Like, what do you mean I'm supposed to like invest in my manager? Like, it was difficult, Fred, in the early days to get a dentist to even pay memberships. And we had members, paying out of their pocket like then it was like $150 a year, and a dentist wouldn't pay that. So there were days early on where I'm just like, did I make a mistake? Never did I ever say like, oh, this is gonna be too big. Like, the bigger the better. I'm all for growth. That gets me excited. So um that's fun. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
you were very much a pioneer, because and I've been in the same boat where you're really swimming upstream against the slow change attitude of most dentists.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we had to promote advertising. We had to say, look, you need to promote dentistry, and they would say, oh, that's going to ruin the profession. I said, like, no, people, they don't have insurance there, or if they do, they have this nominal discount coverage.
Yeah.
They need to be told that dentistry is important. And I spent $500 million in television advertising. Nobody spent that over in that time until Invisalign came along and started to promote clear aligners, and then they started to spend money. But we were the
Yeah.
loudest voice to just remind people to go to the dentist. And
You
we
were.
we had we didn't just have blowback. We had the ADA tried to outlaw us state by state, until we had to actually bring the Federal Trade Commission in and say, these guys, this is restraint of trade, this
Yeah.
legislation that they're trying to put through. But that's how the old guard mindset was.
Hmm.
And so
You.
you had to say, this is the cornerstone of your practice.
Hmm.
You can treat people all day and lose money if you don't run your practice well,
Absolutely.
or
Yeah.
be at even more risk, be at risk for litigation, be at risk for insurance fraud or something like that.
Insurance fraud, HR cases, all these things that they don't, not only don't teach you in dental school, they don't even have you thinking about or considering until you're standing in a practice. But Fred, I have to say, I have to take my hat off to you, because you were a pioneer before I was a pioneer, and you were a pioneer on much larger scale. I mean, you really talk about a paradigm shift. You and 1-800 really flip things on its head. And I'll get so excited every time I say on TV, I know him. But I mean, that was a game changer in dentistry. It really was. And you really changed the game, because what I was doing, we were just adding kind of one more association. What you were doing with your company was just changing the game, changing the way consumers thought about dentistry, which consumers really weren't thinking about dentistry prior to you. So
No,
yeah.
we sent way more people to dentists who weren't our members than people who were, just because I've dentists for years. Dentists say, look, I was never a member, but my patients come in more often because of you. So I appreciate it. And I've also had doctors come up and say, years ago I was saying 800 dentists was ruining the profession. I just want to tell you right now, I was wrong. And that's very gratifying to hear that they said, like, you've done more for dentistry, for awareness than almost anybody. And, and said, yeah, and it wasn't easy.
No, and going up against large organizations or getting involved with the Federal Trade Commission, to me, that's like, all right, now it's getting fun. Like, that's how I see a challenge. But and I never really thought about it. In addition to sort of changing the game within dentistry, if I think about how many people you personally were responsible for getting care that they would not otherwise have sought. And we all know in dentistry, the oral body, the whole systemic connection, really, who knows how many lives you saved at the end of the day. So good job.
Yeah, I just had a friend of mine who had an infection pass from a crown that had come off, and the infection went into his spine. And had they not discovered what it was, because they thought it was sciatica or something like that, until he went to the Mayo Clinic and found out that he had an infection on his disc, and they matched the bacteria to what had been in his mouth. And had they not found it when they did, he'd have been paralyzed.
Wow.
So, there needs to be way more education about this. And and there's guys like Steve Thorne, who runs Pacific Dental, which is one of the largest group practices. It is his personal cause to get government and insurance companies and healthcare to understand that this is one thing, not two. That the mouth and the body are not two separate things that should be cared for and attended to differently.
Right.
And that's the big wave for us. That's when we really achieve it.
Yeah, and I believe that wholeheartedly. It truly is the gateway, and being in this industry, I've learned the importance of the whole connection, the whole world body connection. I forgot what I was going to say. Totally forgot, but it was probably something important. So I'll come back.
It was probably the most profound thing you were going to say in the
well,
whole.
Yes, and I remember now. So yes, I talk a lot about the business of dentistry because that's what we do. But I don't want to underscore ever, that I do understand. The first importance is patient care. I mean, that we are in the healthcare industry, so I tend to look at it from the business side. But it's, always important to remember that first priority is patient care, and the people we work for are healthcare providers and lifesavers. So,
I just met a very young dentist, and I said, it was his first week in a new practice. I think they were just getting his licensing done. And I said, you've picked just an amazing career. I said, you're going to get to do stuff every day that some people won't in their lifetime get to do. You're going to have that kind of impact on people. You're going to get used to it. You do it so often. You're going to get spoiled by it. But it is a business. You are in retail healthcare. You got to wrap a tight business around you, or you're not going to be able to take care of people.
Exactly.
If you're hanging by your fingernails financially, it's as they say, you can't share soup from an empty bowl. There's you want to be able to do charitable dentistry. You want to be able to treat your people who work with you well, and be very comfortable telling people about the care that they need to be healthy, not just to get out of pain or something like that. So it's been an interesting journey, and I'm on the next level of marketing, getting people to do video testimonials so that can help promote the practice. And that's kind of, to me, it's the breakthrough marketing we've been waiting for, and we're really launching it this year. At your annual meeting is when we really come out strong, and you as an organization have been really supportive of us, and we appreciate that. And so now I'm the young entrepreneur that you're the established success that is helping me out.
Well, I'm excited, Fred, because I'm so excited for your new endeavor, because I think that is the piece that's missing. Yeah, I'm taking that ride with you, because this is new. It's new, and that's what I love about dentistry is like it. It sounds so nerdy, but it's so fascinating. And I don't just mean like the dentistry is beyond my comprehension, but just the things that I am exposed to as far as from the business side of it, just the technology and the software. It's incredible, and there's the AI that's coming into play now that we're kind of working with some companies, the AI for treatment, and it's mind-blowing. It's such an exciting field, and I know I sound like, again, a total nerd, but it is. And what you're doing is really exciting, and I'm excited to introduce that to our members. And again, so it's video testimonial for social media and managers, social smiles, right? So
yeah,
managers who, again, don't formally learn, one of the hats that gets plunked on their head is social media marketer, which they're not trained to do. So ADOM is here to help, and I'm excited to be able to introduce this concept to them, because again, it all comes full circle. The better they can present their practice and the more people they can bring in and run a better practice, the more treatment they can provide. So yeah.
Yeah. And our goal is to help them attract more patients like their patients. Basically, we're using video to digitize word of mouth so you can attract more patients like your best patients. And the office manager is integral to our success, because she's working with the videos as we help her generate them. She's getting them on the website. She's getting them on the YouTube channel. She's getting them on social media. She's the quarterback of what happens with these videos. We provide the tools and the software, so this streamlines the process. But as always, need the office manager on my side.
For my ADOM members listening, what Fred's talking about, we'll be kicking it off at conference, and we're gonna have it. It's such a cool product. And it's going to make your life and your job so much easier. So I'm excited that he'll be introducing it to you. And
well,
again,
Heather,
you're like on the forefront of something else so cool. So
yeah, I can't resist it. It's something new and breakthrough, where I'm not sure how it's going to go. It excites me. So
yeah.
But Heather, these 20 years have been amazing, and so I'm just so thrilled to have watched your success and got to ride along on a lot of it. So I appreciate the friendship. I appreciate your taking this time and sharing your business growth and strategy with people and your success. And I look forward to seeing you in a month or so.
Same too, Fred. And thank you for 20 years of friendship. And I remember meeting you at the ADOM conference, and I had to introduce you, and I said, how do I say his last name? She said, it rhymes with Royal. I said, okay. So yeah, but what's great for it is that was 20 years ago, and we're not talking about the same thing. Now we're talking about like what's new, what's coming. So it's just, again, I love dentistry. I love the fact that it evolves, and I love that you and I, it's like playtime for us. Like, all right, what cool new thing can we, share with the industry? So really, really lots of gratitude. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Keep on striving and becoming bolder. And if you're a dentist, your office manager needs to be part of this meeting. You're missing out terribly. So, Heather, thank you. I'll see you soon.
Okay, friend.